Hello and welcome to episode 27 of Healing Vibrations. This is the show where we aim to change perspective of illness, to see it as a gift. And I am interviewing today the beautiful and vibrant and full of laughter Alison Orr, who is going to share a story of how she unwrapped her gift of illness, and also about what she does now with regard to laughter. And Alison's really inspired me. So I'm on day 28 of my laughter challenge. So I know. So yeah, it's a big smiley face. That's right. So thank you, Alison, for joining me. And I'm correct in you're a laughter yoga practitioner.
Yes.
So tell us where the laughter yoga came from. What inspired you to go down that path?
Okay, so my career has been in working for infrastructure for the voluntary and community sector. And working with infrastructure means that I worked for an organisation that supported all the voluntary sector, so a bit like an umbrella organisation. And I did that for 20 years and met and experienced so much good, so many great people, so many humbling people, amazing. And I did a lot of training for them. I did training for trustees and all of that kind of thing. So after 20 years, I just began to think, I've done this for, like a lot of people, I've done this for everybody else. I've been working for everybody else and I need to do something for me. And I heard the words, I was in a meeting and I just heard the words laughter yoga, and that was passed off. I just thought, oh, that sounds really weird. So I did some research and I found the national UK team for laughter yoga, and I did some training. And the training was about how to lead, really, a laughter yoga club, a bit of a session, really. And it was only 2 days or something. And the first day we managed to do online, and then I went down to London for the second day. The first day I started to hear about laughter yoga and what it was, I'm like, oh, what have I done? Because this is, I looked up videos and all sorts, and I thought, well, this is crazy. And then I thought, crazy is good. Crazy is good.
You like a bit of crazy.
Yeah. So then the second day I went down to London and joined all the people that had been doing it down there. And it was a complete and utter eye-opener in terms of what laughter yoga is about, how therapeutic it is, what it can do for you if, like some people do natural yoga as we know it. Some people go running. Some people go rowing, some people are into their crafting. I hadn't really got anything, but I knew that I needed to do something for me. And this was the thing that was going to be for me. And it simply is, and you've been practicing this, you said, it simply is about the physicality of laughing and then what that does to the rest of your body. And anything that can help us to I think I put in my little blurb to you about anxiety and sort of low moods on occasion. Anything we can do to help us get through that, not to ignore it. I don't mean ignore it, I mean go through it. But anything that can help us to go through it, like any illnesses and feelings of anxiety and things like that, if we can find a way through, if we can find a little hook, a little magic button that we can press for us, and it will be different with everybody, then that will make all the difference. And so I found that laughing, not about jokes or because something's
funny.
Yeah, something's funny as people who've dressed up as a clown or whatever, because I don't find clowns funny anyway. Most people don't, funnily enough. But it's just about the physicality of laughing and what that does to your body in releasing all the air in your lungs, because when you laugh, you breathe in heavily.
It definitely feels like I have a torso workout.
Absolutely,
I said that in my videos. It feels like actually if you're going to have a workout, then it's the, yeah, it's a great way of working out. Yeah,
it's the best, isn't it? So I don't think, you know, I'm not a runner, I'm not a walker, much as I tell myself I need to get exercise and all the rest of it. That doesn't thrill me, it doesn't do, but laughter yoga does. And like you say, when you've been doing it, if you can do this for 10 minutes every day, you will feel like you've had a workout from the inside out.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's doing all that physical stuff, and then it's releasing all the endorphins, setting you up for the day.
Mental thing.
So I got really into laughter yoga then. It's a difficult one to explain, isn't it, laughter yoga? Because people just say, oh yeah, well, I'm always laughing, you know, and you're not really. You do laugh, of course you do, and I'm hoping people can laugh every day, but it's usually because something has stimulated them to do that.
Yes.
And it's very quick, it's here and it's gone, you know.
Yeah, it's not very often, because I can remember a couple of instances where something's really tickled me,
Yeah,
and it's just like, you know, tears rolling down the face and all the rest of it. But that doesn't happen very often, does it? Where you and I think when people have described, you know, meeting up with old friends and stuff and having a weekend of belly laughs, again, that is something really therapeutic about that, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And so if you can, and this is the tricky part for people, they say, well, how can you laugh if you're feeling down? How can you laugh if you're thinking about what you're seeing on the news? How can you laugh if someone very close to you is going through something or someone has died? How can you laugh if? And it's not about the if, it's just about the how. And so when you're talking to people and they say, well, you can't just laugh, well, actually you can, because you can just breathe. You can just run. You can just do crafting. You can just laugh, because it's a physical thing. And then when you start to laugh, and you'll have known this over the past few days, when you start to laugh, in nanoseconds, actually, whatever a nanosecond is, it becomes real. And then that's when the magic happens. And that's it. So for me, I'd found something that I wanted to do as a trainer for 20 years in the voluntary sector. I wanted to train for me, to learn something new for me. And then, you know, I've been on courses now so that I can teach others to run laughter yoga sessions. And it's not as simple as it sounds. It has a responsibility, like any therapy session does. You know, I have to have insurance, I have to be certificated, I have to know how to handle people in situations. Some people laugh and they go hysterical, and you know that something has switched in their mind, and you need to manage that, you know. So it's not like just, oh, let me get everybody together and we'll have a laugh. Anybody can do that. Yeah, you know, there's a bit more to it. There's a bit of a warning here. And so things like, I do a laughter session with people who have COPD or respiratory conditions, and when I say take a deep breath in, I have to make sure that I'm saying take your deep breath in. Yes. So, you know, it's just things like that, because they can't, they can't breathe. Yeah, everyone's depth of breath is different. Yeah, so laughter yoga might sound a bit crazy, and it is. How great is that? I know. My son was just like, Mum, your neighbours are going to think you're an idiot. Yes, absolutely. And he was doing his damnedest not to laugh, because he thinks, but I see a little smirk in there. He did have a bit of a chortle. Absolutely. I mean, it does sound crazy. It's whatever rocks your boat, and laughter yoga rocks mine. And in terms of a conversation opener, it's really great. Yeah. You all know that from coming along to Business Buzz, you know, you're standing there talking to someone and they say, oh yes, well, I'm a financial advisor. Yes, well, I'm a lawyer. Yes, well, I'm a, I don't know, energy supplier or whatever it is. And then you've got you and I, to be honest, in the room who are saying, really, this is about us, you know, and actually I do laughter yoga, and they go, oh, that sounds fun, and then you can have and then you can talk about how good it is. people are still a bit wary, especially men. And there are men, lots of men within the laughter yoga fraternity, but men want to be the joke. They want you to laugh at them.
Right, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And
yes, rather than just laugh.
Just laugh. So it's a little bit different. So again, you've got to treat that when you've got a group of people in the room. But so for me, I left my full-time work, and I set up Dubry's Laughter Yoga just as COVID hit. So it was a bit of a struggle, I suppose. I'm not making any money out of it, but fortunately I have enough to live on. So it's a joy.
Not making any money out of it yet.
Sorry?
Not making any money out of it yet.
Oh, yet.
Yes.
Yes. Yet. So so today I'm off this afternoon to a teachers' sort of reunion, which we have every year, but we haven't had for the last 3 years, I think. So that will be a really fun weekend.
I can imagine. Well, yeah, I can't imagine really, but I've got a vague idea. So yeah, so thanks for that. But I mean, you said to me, because this is all about unwrapping the gift of illness, and you said to me that you've overcome breast cancer. You've talked a little bit about anxiety and low mood, and so how has that? Tell us your story around that. How's that affected you, and how have you managed it?
I think I'm a certain personality anyway, but I mean, my breast cancer was in 2002, so we're now 20 years on. There isn't a day goes by when I don't think about it. Okay. But even at the time, I'd got some friends who had got or had breast cancer or other cancers, and they were very private about it. For me, I'm a kind of heart on your sleeve kind of thing, so I generally express what I'm feeling, and what you see is what you get. So for me, it really helped me to talk about what was happening to me. But I honestly found that I was okay through it, because I didn't allow negative thoughts to come to me, and because I spoke it out, that was my way of kind of healing. Really, it was my way of coping with what was happening, and people were really appreciative, because when like in the village where I live, it was, oh, Alison's got breast cancer, and of course when you meet them, they don't want to.
Nobody says anything, because it's like the elephant in the room, isn't it?
Oh, how you doing? Oh,
So it's very superficial talk rather than.
Yeah. So I dealt with it by being open and honest about it.
That's really liberating, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I can honestly say that it didn't make me depressed. It made me a bit anxious. I didn't like going through the operations and the treatment and all of that kind of stuff. I didn't like the effect it was having on my family, although because of how I was, I think they were better. And so my way of dealing with it was to be honest and open about it. And I think that's the thing about laughter yoga as well. It's honest and open. It isn't something that I'm just doing like secretly, or it's an openness which allows other people to join in with it, which means it's all okay. So it's not this secret thing. Now, I'm not saying that if other people cope with it by keeping it personally to themselves, that's wrong. Of course it isn't.
There's no right or wrong way, is there?
There is no right or wrong way. Everybody is different. But I think that was, for me, the start of coping with something that was quite heavy, could quite have
dragged you down, sucked you in.
And it didn't drag me down. In fact, every day was positive, and it's that thing about finding your way of coping through huge things that come and affect you. And then on top of that, I was going through a divorce. It wasn't a nice divorce. I did get very depressed and very low, wanted to escape quite a lot. It was a very, very dark time.
Yeah.
But again, there's the thing, I think, in all of us, however it comes out to be expressed, there's a thing in all of us that says, I want to survive. I want to get out. It's a mechanism. And so just by being surrounded with family and friends, having to face up to, when I was in my marriage, I was very controlled. I was told that I was mentally ill, there was something really wrong with me. You know, this
So it's a bit gaslighting-y type thing going on.
It wasn't a physical thing, it was just, so from being this, you know, quite tall, outward going person, I gradually shrunk. And through the help of family and friends and things, I was able to, again, face it and come through it. So I think through illness, you find your own way through, and through adversity, you find your own way through, and it's right. There is no right or wrong way of handling anything. The thing that we need to do as human beings is allow people to be that way. So the dreaded words, pull yourself together, dear me, they're the kiss of death, aren't they? Really, they literally can be the kiss of death, because people have got this huge thing on their back saying, oh, I've got to pull myself together, but and of course you can't.
No, because if you could, then it wouldn't be a problem.
No, exactly. So to me, anything, and I was in a, I'm going to say a cult, I think, in a sect for many years, where I was told what to do and how to think. And when I came out of that, I found that there was so much more out there in terms of how to heal myself than just because in this church, and I put that in inverted commas, you know, you weren't allowed to take an aspirin because that would be of the devil. So everything was very, you know, you don't drink, you don't smoke, you don't swear. It was very controlled and
regimented.
And this and how you deal with things is you come to the elders, you know, and we'll pray for you and we'll tell you what God wants you to do and all the rest of it. When I came out, I was very skeptical of anything that I had deemed spooky. So anything like even meditation, mindfulness, certainly things like hypnotherapy, if I'm talking about proper therapy, not on the stuff on stage, anything that was going to invade me and open me up was really scary. But when I came out of the church, I found it automatically opened me up, because I could see people differently. I could see how what they were doing was helping them. And actually, I was fine without the church, in inverted commas. It's really weird. So people like yourself who have looked at different therapies, different way of doing things, that's all opened up to me. And I look at new things every day. And my thing has become laughter yoga. Long roundabout story, but for me, it's a whole new world. I'm getting a coffee now. Thank you very much.
That's cool.
Thank you very much. Have a little person giving me a coffee.
Oh, that's always nice.
Yeah, so everyone finds their own way out of things. And I think, and even with laughter yoga, when people go, oh, have a go. Have a go at these things. If you don't like them, that's fine.
There's nothing really bad can happen from a bit of laughing, is there?
Certainly not from laughing, no. Yeah, you're right, actually. Nothing bad can happen from that. And nothing bad can happen from anything where we are allowed to keep control of who we are. When people start telling you what to do and how to do it and all that for me is still a bit, ooh. But if people can help us through things, then, and things can help us through things. One of the things I want to try, and I think you've probably tried this, is the sound.
Oh, sound baths with the gongs and the yes, I've done some meditations with sound baths.
Yeah.
And yeah, for me, they just help you get sort of deeper, really. And the sounds, even though they're drums and they may be what makes a really cool sound is like rice or beans on a drum, just, and when your eyes are closed and it's taking you away, it's almost like you can hear the sea and the wind, and so you're on your own sort of journey. And I think the vibrations that it causes, that sort of goes through, has a really healing aspect. I mean, I've not done much, but maybe I need to get a sound healer on here, because I know there are some people, more and more people are doing it.
I would love to give it a go.
Yeah.
One of the things that we do after following a laughter session, we always have a real good meditation time, usually lying on the floor. And one of the things we do is to hum. So this isn't an this isn't that kind of thing. It's literally a hum from your throat. And everybody has a different pitch of hum. So I'm not saying, you know, you've got to do this in A major, or
yeah, this is it. So everyone just does what?
Everyone just does the hum, and it is melodic. It's absolutely melodic, how all these different tones and voices just, they emanate across the room. And it's right, it's the vibrations in our throat, and then the vibrations. It's magical. How lovely. We're human beings and we can do that.
Yeah, it is. And if you've ever tried just humming yourself, just do it for, you know, a couple of seconds, like and then just sit with it, and you can almost, well, you can feel your body vibrating afterwards. So it's quite a nice place to hang out, isn't it?
Is it marvelous? Yeah. So all of those things are new to me, and I'm learning new things every day.
Wow.
All because I took a step out to do something for me. And that, I think that's the message. Take a step out and do something for you, and do it before it's too late.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
And I think it's like, because I like the way that you said that, you know, some people run and some people go to the gym and some people do things that, like, for them.
Yeah.
But actually, if you haven't found anything, and you might be in your 40s or 50s or 60s even, and you still haven't found anything, try laughter. Try laughter.
Because it's free.
Well, yeah, this is it, and anyone could try. So if you'd like to come and see what laughter is, if you want to come along to the Healing Vibration Network Facebook group, I'm currently on day, we're what are we, 15th of July 2022. I'm currently on day 28. So, and I did 8 minutes this morning. My aim is to get up to 10 minutes, and after we finish this interview, Alison's going to jump on with me, and we're going to do some more laughter yoga in the group, so they will be saved there if people want to go and have a look. But yeah, if you want to step out and do something for you, and I think this is key for anybody navigating any path. And I also think I spoke to a guy that was at the Business Buzz yesterday, who was an older gentleman. I would say he was older than me, maybe 70s, something like that. And he said, oh, well, I haven't got any illnesses. But then when he went on to describe his life, and he did bell ringing, and I think, oh my God, think of the vibrations in bell ringing. And he's been doing that since he was a teenager, the community that brought him, and also the mindfulness you might need. So to have a hobby that encapsulates you like that and ticks so many boxes for what is good for our soul, then you know, and the fact that he was still business networking in his 70s, it's something to be said, isn't it? It's still got,
absolutely. And you're right, you know, you like the bell ringing, he obviously got something from that, else why would he do it? And you can imagine, I'd love to have a go at that. Have you ever done that?
No, I've never done it. He's done it in Westminster Abbey and all sorts. So he's been all over the place with it, and now there's such a strong community. You know, he knows it's like a club, because I suppose it's quite a niche place, isn't it, bell ringing? So it's so he's sort of very well established in that place. So yeah, so that was really interesting, but it just goes to show that actually if you have a passion and something that drives you forward and makes you feel great. Some people could do it in the kitchen, can't they, when they knead dough or something like that. The mind goes off and they feel in that happy place. So if you haven't got a happy place yet, it doesn't matter. There is a happy place for you, and maybe you'll find it in laughter.
Yeah, that's it. And if people do, and they can when you're doing it so you've done it every day for 28 days. How do you think it has helped you? How different do you feel, or do you feel?
Well, I'm doing a lot of things, as you know, so it's probably, but what I've found is that I never feel like laughing when I first start off. I'm never like, oh God, I must kick on, because I'm just in such a laughing mood. I think, oh my God, I need to do it. I don't really feel like it. But then, like you say, as soon as you start, I turn the camera on, and I'm a bit of a show person anyway. So I start laughing, and once you start laughing, but what I've found is that I can laugh for longer now. So I do a simple ha ha hee hee ho ho ho, take a nice big deep breath in, and then laugh out as long as I can.
Yeah.
And I can definitely laugh for longer now than I could, when I started off. And and when I tell people about it, because obviously it's a bit like your laughter yoga, people just start laughing.
How weird is that? I know.
So I think, it's great. And although it is challenging, it started off as a challenge. I'm now calling it my daily dose of laughter, because I've got 2 Ds in there. But I'm going to carry on with it. And I think I got to about day 8, and I don't think anybody was saying anything or liking anything. I was thinking, this is a bit of a waste of time. I'm not going to do this. And then somebody I didn't know in the group had pinged in there and said, oh my God, that just had me in hysterics, and posted some pictures of her crying with laughter. So that was it then. I thought, right, I'll carry on. And even if one person, and 2 people do tap into it and people comment, but it's more around, let's do this for us, because actually we can do that. If we can do this together, then it's great. And Tim did it with me one day, which was much easier, because then he was like, you've done this for 24 days. And that was it. And even when my son was like trying not to laugh, he was cleaning his bike earlier on, that just had me in hysterics then, because of so it's it definitely, all my stuff's about lifting your vibrations, and this is a surefire hack that you can do. And if you've got somebody else in the room that's on the same page, you can just look at each other and start laughing, can't you?
Yeah, you can. I mean, when I did my teacher training, it was a full week of residential.
I bet you had face ache.
Oh my goodness. And I was lying on the floor. There was only, I think, 4 or 5 of us in the room, 5 of us training. And I was lying on my back, and we were all laughing. And I was 57 when I did this. I said, I can't believe I'm 57 and I'm lying on the floor with lots of other people laughing. And now I'm 61 and I'm still doing it. So when we go back today, we'll bring back those memories of when we go back to the same venue, of all of that, and what a difference it has made over those years.
Wow.
So leaving work for me was quite difficult. Then we had COVID. There's been all sorts of other stuff like life going on. And you have to find a way, and whatever that is, my partner crochets. I can't tell you the number of blankets we've got. and she just sits and this is her place.
Escape.
It's her happy place. Yeah. For me, she knows it's coming out and about and laughing. Yeah, so she's done laughter yoga. She's all right, but it just doesn't rock her boat that much. My son loves it. My daughter, it just does this.
That's below my kids.
So each to their own, finding a way through, finding something that gets you through any illness or adversity or low mood, anxiety, depression, find something, and learn something new as well.
Well, I think that's it, because I sort of have come up with a phrase, I don't know if I got it from somewhere, I probably did, but the whole idea that everything in life is meant to bring us joy or to teach us something. So if it's not bringing joy, there is a lesson in there. There's definitely a lesson. That's not to say joy things can't give us lessons as well, but I think the less joyful things, the challenges, the things that we didn't ask for, didn't want, coming along, you know, the illnesses, the divorces, the whatever other life stuff comes along, and there's plenty of it, isn't there?
Oh, it's absolutely every day, you know, well, yeah. And for those who are on their own, I cannot imagine that, being totally alone and not seeing anybody. And through COVID, it must have been awful.
Yeah.
And I think I got through COVID because I can do my laughter. Other people found other things, but you know, if we can send a message to people to find something, or a combination of things like you do, and learn some new things, and it isn't about ignoring all of those things. It's not about actually saying the catchphrase, I'm fine. How are you today? I'm fine.
Yeah.
No, just, you know, you've got to own something before you can overcome it.
Right. Because you mentioned when you sent through the little bio that you anxiety and low moods. You're now cancer free. So how long ago in the timeline was that then, when you were sort of 20 years, was it?
That was 20 years.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So it sounded like when you had the breast cancer that you were naturally in a positive, glass half full type person, rather than a and you talked about just not allowing negativity coming in. Would that be like fears of what could happen, and listening to terror tales, if you like?
Yes, and I think about being honest about all of that as well. So I think my son was, I think he was 9 or 10. My daughter, a little bit older, she understood what was happening. Mm-hmm. Isaac was a bit more, he didn't really know what cancer was or anything. So I sat him down, told him, because basically there was a lump, and I said, you know, we've got to get this lump out, because, and once it's out, Mummy's going to be fine. So he said, well, what does it look like? So I said, well, let's imagine what it looks like. So he drew a little picture of what he considered to be a lump. And he put some eyes and a nose and a mouth on it, and we named it. And then when because I had to have a full mastectomy, when that had happened and I came home from hospital, he said, I can't remember what we named this thing, but let's say it was Mr. Lump or whatever it was. Has it gone? And I said, yes. And so we got the piece of paper that he drew on and we burned it. Wow. It's just about, so I didn't ignore it. I didn't excuse it. I didn't lie to him about it. And that's the other thing about when you're going through stuff, is being honest. But then we found a way that as a family we could overcome that, and a way that Isaac could then understand that. And so we burned this picture of Mr. Lump, and then every day we looked at how I was getting better, how I was recovering, which as you know, sorry, we've got, I don't know how to put this off. It'll just have to go. So we learned every day to just overcome. And I think if you're honest with people in a way that they understand, so telling my parents the story and telling my son the story, telling my daughter the story, all very different. Mm-hmm. But it's about honesty. Because I think once you're honest about stuff, you can then look for ways of getting through them, not to ignore them, but ways of getting through. And then that makes you a better person, and that makes you someone who's learned something and someone who can give back, which is what you are totally all about. And I love and respect you for your outlook and for what you're doing, and for taking steps, and for the courage that you have, because then that will pass to other people, and that's what we can give to people. Gosh, it's very deep, isn't it?
Yeah, so yeah, thank you, thank you so much. But I think you're right. It's that any illness comes along with a big dose of fear. That's what I say, with a diagnosis, they just dump fear on you. You've got this terrible thing that's never going to get better. And and I think what you did there with the story, the beautiful story of, you know, personified, what's the word, personification, isn't it, of a thing, to make it understandable for him, but it also makes it, so imagine it being a bit of a cartoon, and the cartoon having a bit of a, you know, and that takes the fear out of it. I think stops it being this big monster that we don't know, and you've given it a face, you've given it a name, you've given it something that actually you can almost have a conversation with. And I
get
think,
cross with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think once you can start doing that and seeing it almost as a cartoon, you can imagine these cartoon, and of course with cartoons you can do anything, can't you? So it's with your imagination. And that imagination thing is so powerful.
Yeah, it is. And everybody sees and learns things, you know. As I've been a very sort of visual person, always out there wanting to see things and learn things. And I know that through my years, I've said to people the phrase, "Oh yeah, I can see that. I see what you mean." As I've got older, I've become more auditory, and I'm more like, I hear what you're saying. And when you've got that, when you know that people learn and hear things differently. So for Isaac, it had to be something that was tangible. For Sally, her fears were very different. We had to talk about them. And you need to be able to express to people in a way that makes sense to them. And when you're talking about some of the things that we do in terms of looking after ourselves, when you say things like laughter yoga, they kind of don't hear it because they don't want it, because they're like, yeah, whatever. But actually, when you explain it and you experience it and you commit to it like you have, it really begins to make a difference.
I think it does. And it's I mean, I'm a pretty happy person anyway most of the time. It's not to say you don't have your down bits, of course you do. And I think you said something in that as well, you know, that you still have some low mood times where, of course, that's part of life, isn't it? We can't be on the ceiling all the time, we'll be exhausted, I'm sure. But actually when the low mood comes in, and I don't know how you deal with it, I'll ask in a second, but I'm now learning to, okay, what's this about? And have a little bit of inquiry and see, maybe there's some unhelpful thoughts that are popping in that doesn't help. And a lot of the time with me, it's just, I'm just a bit tired. I need to lie down.
You go through the process of, well, yeah, what is happening? Rather than ignoring it or going through it. And this is the thing, is to take time, sit down, have these little conversations with yourself until you get to the place where you go, oh, do you know what? It's because I missed a meal. Do you know what? It's because I didn't do my laughter yoga, or I didn't, go to the meeting that I was going to go to, which would have, put me in a different state. It's all of those things, and it's taking the time to sit and listen to that, and being honest with yourself. So that thing about, it's just because I'm tired. Well, and it's okay.
It's
okay not that you're, you haven't become a bad person. You haven't,
you're not dipped down into.
Yeah, I'm reading a brilliant book at the minute, and I don't know, I can't remember the author's name, but it's Untamed.
Oh yes,
Glennon. Is it Glennon?
Doyle. Is it Doyle?
Yes.
Glennon Doyle.
Yes.
Yes, I've read Untamed or listened to Untamed. Very very eye-opening.
And a lot of it, somebody recommended it to me because they said, Alison, I think this is your story. And it very much is. So that
really?
about being very, she was very religious and Christian and doing this and doing that. I mean, I got married because I was, that's what you did. You got married, you had 2 children, you made jam. And that was what was expected of me. But I knew that I wasn't being the authentic me.
Yes. You wasn't being true to yourself. Yeah,
being true to me. And that's about all of this, really. It's about being true to ourselves and finding ways and learning new ways of getting through life. And Glennon's book, absolutely kind of my story. I'm about 3/4 of the way through.
Oh no, it's definitely worth I listened to it, I enjoyed listening to it, but reading it, it's a good book, definitely. She has a lot of words of wisdom in her story as well, doesn't she?
Indeed, I think so. And I just read it and I go, how can you be that wise?
we are that wise.
We are. Yes, we are.
Yeah, we are that.
And that's what I keep thinking. Well, yes, if I was having a conversation with somebody, that might be what I say to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you've been an incredible story that you've been through, with the cult thing, and you have told me more about that in a previous conversation. But which was just wow, how many people have done that? Not many. And then to overcome cancer and somehow find a way through that, and deal with everybody's lives have got challenges. Of course they have.
Everybody's got a story.
Yeah,
definitely. And I think when I was in my church, what I did all the time was judge other people who weren't in my church. And judgment is the worst thing. It eats away at you if all the time you are judging other people. I'm going to say something paradoxic because I do judge people now, but I
think we all do.
Entirely. It isn't. Now it's like, oh, I want to know more. I want to know more about your story because you have a story. And when you tell me that story, I'm not going to judge in a destructive,
in a negative way. Yeah,
I'm gonna judge it, take it, and learn from it.
It's like having an open as mind as possible. I think since I've been, not that I was a massive judge person, my mum is one of these amazing people that just doesn't seem to have any judgment. She might have it going on in her head.
Wonderful.
I know. So that's how I've grown up. So she accepts everybody for what they are, the good, the bad, the ugly, and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
But obviously things do come up in your head. Yeah. But it's a reflection, I'm learning now as well. If you're judging somebody like, oh God, they're a bit fat, or they don't look after themselves, and these are things that sometimes come in my mind, and I'm like, oh Gina, that's a bit judgy. Yeah. Then I'm judging myself for being judgy. And, it would never come out of my mouth, but it's so. And obviously coaching, you offer a space of non-judgment. People can pretty much tell me anything, and I hopefully my face is stoic and there's no, you did what? Type of situation, because actually it's your stuff, and your stuff is totally valid, and you had your reasons for doing it at the time and not doing it or whatever. And to create a space where people feel they can, it doesn't matter what you say, it's okay.
Yeah, I think I would love to be in a place now where I accept me a bit more, because although a lot of my life has been out there training, standing at the front of a room, it doesn't bother me. I can speak in a room, it doesn't bother me. I actually do not like the way I look. And so I'll very rarely have my photograph taken. And even this weekend when I'm going away and I'm going to be with my tribe, they literally are my tribe. I didn't want to go because I've put on weight over COVID and all of that kind of thing. And I know that I've got to work through the self-acceptance about that. And that's not because people have judged me. No one's ever said, you know,
No one's
really
ever
back, get a grip. No one's ever said, but I do. So it's a big step from learning not to judge others and to know that everybody's got a story, to then not judging yourself and letting your story come through in a way that you're not judging how you look. That's a biggie.
Yeah.
All suggestions gratefully received.
well, I think you've made the first step. I mean, you've just shared so vulnerably there about how you feel, and I'm sure many people can resonate with that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know, it's like, and I think something shifted for me after I gave birth to my first son, with regard to my weight. And I was never huge, but I'd always, all through my 20s, I've been battling with I guess I was probably between a 12 and a 16, and I'd start making myself elasticated skirts and stuff like that, so I wouldn't have to. So you know the idea. And then you're always trying to diet and always talking about food. And then I worked in a place where everyone was dieting and everyone was always eating. It was like a real paradox of
I know.
But something shifted sort of mentally and emotionally, I think. I remember walking out of the hospital after I'd had Joel, and I didn't have him because he was still in hospital because I had him early. But obviously I was a bit chunkier and I just thought, well, if I can't be fat after I've had a baby, when can I be fat? And I don't know, something, if I could bottle it, I would be a super rich lady by now. But it just, and you know, I never thought that I would be a size 10. I never thought that was even possible in my genes. But within, I don't know, a few months after giving birth to Joel, I was a size 10. I lost weight after every pregnancy, and something shifted. But I think it was what I know now. I think it was around seeing food differently, more as not as a comfort, as a, you know, just, and I do it a little bit sometimes, of course, we all do this nice chocolate bar, let's have a, but it's, you know, I remember times where I'd literally shovel like 3 or 4 Kit Kats down and then like be absolutely distraught with myself for doing that, just because my husband had gone to work and I rushed down the shop and did it sneakily. This sort of behaviour, which is and then beating yourself up for it. And it's that whole thing of loving yourself. And I don't think I've got that quite nailed yet, but I'm learning and noticing. And I think you've done the first step, just noticing, oh, I'm speaking to myself in not a very nice way. How would I speak to my daughter if it was her? How would I speak to my friend? How would I speak to a client? Yeah.
I know. It's again, it's that thing about us all having a story, isn't it? And people who see me think I'm very confident and all the rest of it, but you know, I'm not. Interestingly, I was talking to Jason Moss yesterday, or Jason here. And he was saying it took all his courage to come into that room yesterday. And yet here was a guy who was on the radio every day. Oh, I didn't connect who he was, actually. Yeah, I didn't really speak to him, but yes. Yeah. Oh, wow. So, and he was always emceeing at things, you know, parties and dinners and sports events. That he was always there. And he said to me, oh, it's dreadful, Alison, you know, everybody thinks I'm so confident and here. And it's like that for a lot of people. We've all got, so when someone else walks into a room now, I think, I wonder what it took for them to walk in the room. And you automatically try and do something which will help them feel more at ease, don't you? Definitely, yeah. And I think, you know, what you've got at business is lovely. People make you welcome. We're the same at Toastmasters. Somebody comes into the room, we know how scary that is to walk in that first time, because we've all been there. It's just like, I don't know what this is. It's like, it's scary. They might ask me to speak, nobody might talk to me. So the first thing is to shake their hands, welcome them, say hello, get eye contact, and then the fears sort of dissolve and people feel more relaxed. Yeah, it's interesting you used the words battle there when you were talking about you know, the weight thing. And it's kind of a strange word to use, isn't it, battle? But that's what I do every day. I know what I should do, and I can diet and I can lose weight. and then I'll put it back on again, and then I'll feel even worse. So I've got to come to a place where I can just accept.
It's that loving yourself,
yeah,
no matter. And then naturally, I think things just start. You choose. And even it's worth doing a bit of an exercise of putting yourself in a future place where you are what you consider a healthy, vibrant version of you. You can picture yourself in whatever dress you've got on, or and see yourself, but more importantly, feel yourself in that place.
Yeah.
And then ask yourself, what would future Alison say when she's offered that biscuit? And sometimes it's like, that biscuit looks bloody lovely and someone's just given it to me, and on so many levels. So it's getting yourself in total congruency with that choice. I'm going to eat that biscuit, I'm going to enjoy every morsel, and I'm going to thank that person where it's come from. And I've been doing some more thinking around being grateful for food. So when food comes to the plate, thinking, how did it get here? Yesterday I had some rice and stir-fried vegetables and things, and even the rice, I don't even know where rice comes from. So even thinking about it
and harvested it.
Yes, and then it must have taken all the journey to come, all the people's hands that it came through. And then imagine that it's a good place. I suppose that's where it becomes nice buying organic from places that because you can actually sort of visualize them. In there. But even if you can't, just imagine it's come from a fantastic farm full of lovely people who all smile and wave at each other on the way through. So there's no badness in the food that you're eating. And I think if you can get to that vibrational place, that actually doesn't matter whether it's perceived as bad or perceived as good.
But it also doesn't matter if I'm overweight.
Definitely not.
and that's, it does matter, because I'd like to be healthier. That would be the thing. But actually just accepting me, whatever size I am, and I could be a different size tomorrow, whatever. But it's about accepting that whatever, and then it's all right to eat that biscuit if I want it, but then live with it.
Well, this is it. Don't beat yourself up afterwards to say, because that's the damaging bit, I think, isn't it? You're going to eat whatever you're going to eat it with love and joy, or don't eat it. Maybe that's the thing. And that just and then just starts shifting the way you see food, the way you see yourself. And I don't know if you've done any mirror work before. Are you able to look into the mirror?
I couldn't do that.
Well, there's your challenge then. There's your challenge. Look in the mirror, start with your face, and just tell yourself that I love you unconditionally, you're amazing. And then get to the point where you've no clothes on, and you're looking in the mirror and you're saying, hey girl, you're looking good.
Okay, that's my challenge.
That is your challenge.
You pick up the challenge of laughing every day. I'll take up that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you'll notice, first of all, it's horrible and you feel really awkward and you're just bullshitting yourself, but just keep going with it. Just keep going with it, and with the love in your heart. Cool. Well, that brings us to about the end of our session, and you were going to end with a little meditation or a little exercise or something that our audience can go away with. So but maybe before we do that, I'll just have a bit of a praise, because we've covered a lot today. I don't know about you, but what I've pulled out of there is find your happy place or places, and be honest with yourself and those around you, and allow yourself to maybe even to experience what you're going through. I think that's what talking about it is really good, because when you explain it to somebody else, something that is a bit like coaching, I don't know whether you find that sometimes, but you coach a client and something comes up that you just say, I needed to hear that as well. So I think talking about it is a powerful thing to do. I don't know, did you anything else come up to you that you just want to end it with before we go into?
No, I think that's right. This has been really good for me. I hope other people have resonated with some bits of your story and my story and the conversation. So although we've been talking about laughter yoga, it is all about finding what works for you to be good to yourself and to your story without judging. I mean, here I go, and I've just told you that I judge myself. But because we're not perfect, we're all on a journey of discovery and finding out ways that do help us. And if by doing this kind of thing, this kind of podcast where we can be open and honest, maybe it'll help others to be open and honest as well, and to take some steps to do something for themselves. Because unless you can sort yourself, you can't sort anybody else, can you? So
that's, yeah, so true, so true. And be able to love yourself, wobbly bits, warts and all, is the is the key. I think it is the key.
Yeah, but it doesn't happen overnight. And
oh my God,
you know, you could feel good today and bad tomorrow, but it's about knowing that, naming it, and dealing with it. Yeah, definitely. Rather than bottling it all up. Thank
you.
Yeah.
Okay then. So do you want to guide us through a little exercise?
Okay, so I've got a couple of things that I wanted, or I'd kind of prepared for today, but I'm going to use I don't know if you've used this before, the autobiography in 5 short chapters.
Oh, no.
Okay, so what I'd like us to do, and anybody who's watching either now or in the future, is to sit up nice and straight as we can, that makes us comfortable, feet firmly on the ground, yeah, and hands just resting on our thighs and just facing upwards. Make sure that your body's kind of in-lined, so that your head is over your hips and over your shoulders and whatever. Having said all that, find comfortable space, and then take a deep breath, and as you breathe out, just close your eyes, and then take a little walk with me. Okay, so big deep breath in, and relax, and take this walk with me. I want you to imagine that you're walking down the street, and there's a big deep hole in the pavement, and you fall in, and you're looking all around you, you're lost and you're helpless. It isn't your fault, and it takes forever to find a way out. Keep breathing deeply, big, nice, deep, relaxing breaths. And then I want you to imagine that you're walking down the same street, and there is a big, deep hole in the pavement, and you still don't see it, and you fall in again, and you can't believe that you're in the same place, but it isn't your fault, and it takes a long time to get out. Keep taking nice, deep breaths in and out. And then I want you to imagine that you're walking down the same street. You come to a big, deep hole in the pavement. You see it, and you still fall in. It's habit. It's your fault. You know where you are, and you can get out immediately. Taking big, deep breaths in and out. In and out, as you imagine this same street. So you walk down the street, there's a big deep hole in the pavement, and you simply walk around it. Take a big deep breath in and out, in and out. And now I want you to imagine you simply walk down a different street. So just while your eyes are closed and your breathing is measured, think about that journey. Walking down the street falling into a hole, no way out. Walking down the street, falling into a hole, just doing the same thing every time. Walking down the street, big deep hole. See it, face it, still fall in it, but at least you know how to get out. And then you're walking down the same street. There's a big deep hole, and you walk around it, and then you walk down a different street. Just keep breathing gently in and out. In and out. Think about that story, about things that you have done as a habit, things that you have done that have been accidental, not your fault. You've struggled to get out. And then think about the things that you have seen, recognized, and found a way around. And that literally is all life is. It's coming across things, not knowing what they are, just getting involved in it all until there comes a time when you recognize things and you can find a way out, or you can simply accept that you've learned something, you know how to deal with it, and you walk a different walk. So just gently breathing in and out and relax. And as you're thinking about this story, think about the walk you're going to walk today. Which path are you going to walk down today? The same one? Find a way around it? Or a different path? Something new? Something exciting? Or are you happy just walking along and falling in holes all the time? Think about which path you're going to take today. And in a second, we're going to just wiggle our fingers, wiggle our toes, and when we're ready, open our eyes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I have heard that story before, but not done as a meditation. So that was visualization. So that was interesting. And I think, yeah, it's easy to fall down the same hole again and again. And sometimes we think we've avoided it we've gone past that, and then out of nowhere we'll fall back down it. Like, what am I doing here?
Yeah, exactly. I've done it again.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's then having the courage to face it.
Yeah, right.
Mine's snoring in the background.
just one second. Sorry, I'm gonna I don't know. I'll put a silence and I'll have to edit that bit out. Yes, so thank you for sharing that with us. So just as we finish off here, is if somebody wants to get hold of you or would like to know more about laughter yoga, or want you to come, because you work in companies as well, don't you, to lift their, so when you're working in companies, how does that work then?
It's mainly been online, you know, through COVID, because when teams were very disconnected, weren't they? And obviously laughter just immediately connected
together.
people.
So it's bringing teamwork.
Yeah. But in workspaces, it's getting as many people together as, so it might be a team from a large organization, or it might be the whole organization, or whatever.
That'd be pretty powerful, wouldn't it?
Adapt to whatever audience, you know, that you've got. But the goal is to get people laughing, and, you know, to realize that it's okay to laugh, and that you're not laughing at somebody, at something, you're just laughing, and how infectious that is, and then what it does in terms of motivation and productivity and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, so Dubries.com, DUBRIES,
We'll share the link.
.com. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Alison, and thank you for listening, everybody, and we'll